Overnight, protests popping up in cities across the country.
Where is Congress?
Hundreds demonstrating against President Trump and Elon Musk as they push forward with changes to shrink the size of the federal government.
President Trump has directed Elon Musk and the DOGE team to identify fraud at the Social Security Administration.
If you think there's fraud, then why did you fire all the inspector generals?
Well, Michelle King, the acting commissioner of the Social Security Administration, has now officially left her post. She did so over the weekend after clashing with Elon Musk's DOGE. Now, this conflict between DOGE and Michelle King, who's actually been with the agency since 1994, arose out of the fact that DOGE members are attempting to access sensitive government records that the Social Security Administration contains. Now, the Trump administration officials argue that they absolutely need to access this personal and incredibly private data to root out wasteful, or erroneous spending at the Social Security Administration. They're concerned about fraud, but it's unclear which data the Musk associates wanted to access that specifically spurred King's departure. But I want to be clear, when we're talking about the Social Security Administration, we are in fact talking about deeply personal details and information about Americans. Yes, that includes things like where they live, their bank account information, social security numbers. But more importantly, think about what the Social Security Administration does. People apply if they're disabled to get, Social Security disability benefits, which means that they have comprehensive medical records for those who applied for said benefits. Also includes records on what people earn and more. And look, this isn't the first time this has happened. This is a story we've been reporting on in regard to other federal government agencies. For instance, the Treasury Department's highest ranking civil servant resigned after refusing to grant DOGE access to the Bureau of the Fiscal Service. And DOGE is also seeking to access IRS data in addition to what they're trying to access at the Social Security Administration and the Treasury Department. But this issue just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And this is what I want to ask, Cenk. I want to know if there are people who support Donald Trump who acknowledge, yes, you can pursue waste, fraud, and abuse without this process that really does lack transparency, right? Without allowing these random people who have been appointed by Elon Musk, who hasn't been elected, who isn't an official government employee, like have them look at all of our private information. I mean, you gotta feel somewhat uncomfortable about that. But, I think there's so much distrust toward our institutions that Trump supporters are just kind of going along with it without really thinking about the ramifications of these random people having access to our private information.
Most people still have binary brain, which is if DOGE and Musk and Trump are on our side and they hate the Democrats and the libs and the thought police and all that stuff, they must be good guys because it's a binary world. It's either 0 or 1. So we can trust them with all of our private information. No, we can't. We can't trust anybody with that kind of information. And most importantly, they don't need it at all. So this is the thing I keep coming back to, and I'm really frustrated the reporters aren't focusing on this, and that no one on the right-wing side, the DOGE side, et cetera, has any answers for this. Why do you need that information? You already have access to all the budgets. So if you want to see what went wrong in the budgeting, if you want to see where the waste, fraud, and abuse is, you don't need access to people's Social Security numbers at all. You don't need access to their bank account information as they want through the IRS and Social Security and other agencies. You don't need any of this private information about both American citizens and now Elon Musk is talking about, or a reporter at 60 Minutes reported something in a way I didn't like. I want that person arrested.
That's crazy.
Okay,
that's crazy.
It's absolutely nuts. So by the way, now he will have that person and everybody at 60 Minutes, all of their private information, their taxes, their bank account information, their Social Security, if he gets access to all these things. What do you need that for? If there's waste, fraud, and abuse, it's in the freaking budget and you have complete access to it. They don't need this information at all. unless they're planning to do something nefarious with it. I literally don't know a single good reason why they should have it. If I was going to cut waste, fraud, and abuse, number one, I would love to do that. I wouldn't ask for this information. I would, if they gave me this information, I wouldn't know what to do with it. I'd be like, what are you wasting my time with this for? We need to actually find the programs that are being spent in the wrong direction. How does having Bob's social security number, or oh, look at that, conveniently, all of my competitors' financial information have anything to do with actually cutting waste, fraud, and abuse? And Amy Klobuchar with a rare good point there. If you're worried about fraud, why did you get rid of the people who's in charge of getting rid of fraud and looking out for fraud? The inspector generals and the abuse and all that. That's literally their job. I mean, at a bare minimum, you might want to talk to them before you get rid of them. Hey, what did you guys come up with anything? What are you seeing? What were you working on? I would ask that question if it was a Trump person or a Biden person that was an inspector general. And I certainly wouldn't fire the inspector generals that are looking at my work, which then gets to the other point that you're referring to, Anna, which is transparency. So now, as we'll talk about in a different story, Musk is saying, and the government is saying that, well, no, Musk is technically not an employee. So what, and DOGE is technically not anything. We just made it up, even though it is now in charge of the entire government. And so you won't be able to get a freedom of information request or any other kind of transparency that you would get from a normal government department. So wait a minute. I thought you guys wanted more transparency. Now all of a sudden you want to fire any other watchdog, anyone who might be looking into what you're asking for, ask for the most private, sensitive information the government has, and then say you want no transparency for what you're doing. No, red flag, red flag, red flag. This is a giant problem. And if Elon thinks he's gonna do something monumentally stupid and get away with it, I think he's very wrong. And that will lead to a crash for not just Elon, but for Trump and MAGA and everyone beyond imagination. And they can get all mad that they want in the deep state and all that stuff. Look, there's so many different things that can go wrong. You miss one social security payment for the American people, and you're gonna have rage like you've never seen before.
Look, I just think for certain people in the United States of America, regardless of which political party is in charge, if you hit a certain level of wealth, you get away with everything. So I don't think there will ever be consequences for Elon Musk if he does in fact disrupt the system to the point where individuals who are entitled to social security benefits don't get their payments because of how disruptive Elon Musk is, right? Or because of the fact that there's no real method to this madness. Let me just say, look, I don't know what kind of data individuals would need access to in order to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. Okay, so I just want to put that aside for a second. But I do have a problem with the lack of transparency. I have a problem with the fact that, when it comes to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Elon Musk is like, I'm gonna be transparent about why we're getting rid of it. I'm gonna share the receipts soon. He was supposed to share the receipts on Valentine's Day. He didn't. Then he said he was gonna share the receipts over the weekend. He didn't. And so, I mean, if he came out and explained, this is why we need access to this information, here's what we're doing, here's how we're doing it methodically to ensure that innocent people who are doing nothing wrong and are entitled to social security payments are still getting the payments. He's not doing any of that. He's essentially regurgitating nonsense that people are tweeting to him without fact checking it. So that doesn't really inspire a lot of confidence in what he's doing. And by the way, there absolutely is waste, fraud, and abuse, 100%. So I'm not even against what the mission is. I'm against the fact that there's lack of transparency, a guy who is extremely wealthy, has multiple businesses, and those conflicts of interest really do play a role in regard to why it's problematic that he's trying to access this data in the first place. I mean, we're not just talking about social security numbers. We're not just talking about bank account numbers. He's also, through the Treasury, going to have access to information regarding other businesses, potentially businesses he competes with, nonprofits, things like that. And so there isn't transparency. Just because he's constantly on Twitter tweeting things doesn't mean he's being transparent. Visibility does not translate to transparency. Transparency is transparency. Tell us why you need this data, how you're going to utilize this data, and explain to us what it is exactly that you found so fraudulent about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And if you're going to promise the receipts and not deliver them, obviously that's going to raise a lot of questions. The other thing I'll just say is, Cenk, we live in a country where the government is specifically there to serve neoliberal interests, okay? And Elon Musk is a perfect example of that. So the idea that our government eventually is going to punish a guy who's using his position of power in order to benefit himself, enrich himself, and potentially screw over Americans who are entitled to certain things like Social Security benefits, it's just outlandish to me to even believe that at this point. That's how pessimistic I am that anyone with the kind of wealth that Elon Musk has would ever pay any consequence for bad behavior.
Yeah, let me make the case then. Because I understand what you're saying. I mean, you're not wrong to have that pessimistic look if you look at what's happened in America until now. And in fact, today I heard that Elon Musk is going to start spending in Democratic primaries. I get a load of this to help corporate Democrats. Gee, I wonder why. I thought he was against the uniparty. No, and the minute he starts buying the corporate Democrats, the entire Democratic Party and their leadership will become Elon Musk fans, because they have no morals at all. So if you say, well, Cenk, that sounds a bit much, that sounds outlandish. No, this already happened. Remember, the crypto guys spent tons of money in Democratic primaries, all on behalf of corporate Democrats and against populists, against anti-corruption, because it was the whole point of the project was corruption. And the Democratic Party was like, we love crypto now. Crypto's awesome. What do you need? We're here to kiss your ass. So I understand exactly the point you're making. The minute Elon starts spending $1 in Democratic primaries in favor of the establishment Democrats, they'll go, Elon's not so bad, Elon's not so bad, right? That's what they'll start saying. So now here's my counterpoint. Look, media now is greatly fragmented. It wasn't before. There's only two sides. In the beginning, there was only one side, Walter Cronkite, period. And it was everybody believed the same things, was created the same culture, et cetera. Then it became Fox News versus MSNBC/mainstream media, right? But still only talking points a lot on both sides. Then online media starts, we happen, et cetera. We're now supporting Bernie and progressives and populists, et cetera. Things start to happen. Now, it's so fragmented, the media. So now the right wing is getting information from a variety of different sources, and so are the left wing, okay? So now, Steve Bannon said 3 things recently about Elon Musk, and he's back to all-out war against Elon Musk. He said, first, where are the goddamn cuts? I heard about DOGE, cut, and obviously Bannon wants to cut. And he's like, I haven't seen them cross the Potomac. He's like, I thought you guys were gonna do Pentagon cuts. I haven't seen a single cut in the Pentagon. I've barely seen any cuts. And then Elon Musk goes, oh, well, the $50 million in condoms. Oh, right, and then at the Oval Office, he admits, yeah, we made that one up. Oops. So where are the cuts? No,
let me give you his actual statement.
All right, go ahead.
So this is what he said. I want to give you Steve Bannon's statement verbatim. So this was during an interview with Unheard, where he says that Musk is a parasitic illegal immigrant. He wants to impose his freak experiments and act as God without any respect for the country's history, values, or traditions. So in that statement, Bannon was alleging that Elon Musk actually came to the country and overstayed his visa. This is something that Musk denies. I don't care enough to look into it, to be honest with you. But he continues, it's pretty evident the president's using him as an armor-piercing shell that's delivering blunt force trauma against the administrative state, Bannon said in his interview. But he also described Musk's work as performative and complained that Musk had not focused on the Pentagon, with which Musk's private companies have many contracts. Okay, take it away, Cenk.
Yeah, so secondly, in a previous statement, Bannon had talked about, you guys are talking about cutting Medicaid. No, wrong place. He's like, tons of real Americans, MAGA voters get Medicaid. Do not cut Medicaid. But they're gonna cut Medicaid. They're gonna cut in all of the wrong places. Why? And you're not gonna see a single dollar of it, because it's all for corporate tax cuts. I wrote that on social media today, an interesting MAGA reaction. They don't even realize that's the plan. They think that these cuts are actually going to help taxpayers. whatever cuts have actually happened. They have access to all of our information. That's mission accomplished. The cuts haven't really happened, and not a dollar from the Pentagon. Okay, so but where's that money going? It's going to go to literally all of it, and it won't be anywhere near enough for new corporate tax cuts for Elon Musk and his Silicon Valley CEO friends who are now all DOGE, right? So, and Anna, so the disagreement on whether people will rebel. Number one, people will rebel in the way that Bannon's talking about, because now right-wing media, if they get burned and there aren't any real cuts and all there is corporate tax cuts, which Bannon and his ilk hate for all of their other problems, they hate that stuff. And if all you get is the noxious stuff, you're already in some trouble. But the real issue, Anna, is he's an out of control vehicle. He's a driverless car that's off the grid. He is going to crash, I guarantee it. All this, oh, he's brilliant, he knows what he's doing. No, he's reckless, totally, utterly reckless. Here, last comment goes to our one of our members on tyt.com. By the way, annual subscription gets you 2 months off. You can join on tyt.com. Dirge wrote in, Elon's management strategy is to cut everything. Then when the things break, hire fewer people to do more work, which is fine for something as inconsequential as Twitter, but it's devastating to do in the government, but devastation is the end goal. Yeah, but anarchy for its own sake is absurd, and the American people will hate it. My guess is that they're doing all of this to distract you while they actually do the robbery. Okay, I get it. You want a flashbang over here so you draw everybody's attention so they won't notice not just the normal robbery of the corporate tax cuts, but whatever else you're planning with the Social Security information, the Treasury information, the IRS information, right? They're planning something there. They're not getting that information for no reason, and it isn't for cutting. So you try that, Elon, and you're gonna reap the whirlwind. Not from me, but from the American people. But let's see, okay, you think you're so freaking smart. I don't know why he wants that information, but it is dangerous, especially with a person as ridiculously reckless as Elon Musk. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.